What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, with another one-on-one with a supervillain. Y'all already know what the deal is. Y'all know what these are, so this is what this is. But again, we come back around and have these great, amazing discussions. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique. Each one, I honestly learn something every time. And, you know, I feel great doing them. And I'm back talking with another good man, Mr. Jim Payne. How's it going?
Good. How you doing tonight, Jay?
I'm good. I literally just got done watching Impact's pay-per-view right before this. And the crazy part is I normally don't watch Impact.
Yeah. AEW's getting me back in because the thing that I've missed over the last few years with wrestling is that pop-up surprise. Hey, this guy's now on our roster.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? The only issue I kind of am having with that with AEW is the stance that but I understand why it's happening. Let me say this first. The stand that Cody and Tony Khan took at first, where they were like, every former WWE wrestler we're not bringing over.
Right.
And I was like, I get it. You want to make talent. But at the same time, I get TNT and turn to them like, yo, y'all need names to help drive this. So,
well, yeah, and they are, I mean, they've opened it up, but it's not like the floodgates where, you know, every week Hall and Nash showed up and then the next person, then the next person.
Yeah. It's not like TNA did at first, like TNA was doing.
Right.
In there. Yeah.
It's one of those things. I can remember Lex Luger showing up at the Great American Mall. You know, he was on WWE the night before. And
yeah,
the next night, or he shows up at WCW. I mean, Lex might be a bad example of that, but you know,
I get what you're saying. I think every wrestling fan understands. Like you would see, but that was also before the 90-day clause was initiated. When it was like, oh no,
Well, I think most of that could be thanked to Alondra Blaze, who dropped the women's WWE women's title in the trash can.
When she did that, I mean, that was the pipe bomb of the day of that time, because it was like, wait, yo, this is the active woman's that's the okay.
Yeah.
So how have you been, man, through everything? Just playing catch up and everything. How have you been? You're looking good and healthy.
Yeah, trying. I am getting a little taste of what you and Winston go through. I am interviewing 2-3 times a week, but I still haven't landed a role or job.
It's a difficult thing, man. Especially, I remember going through job interviews. You're like, come on, like I'm qualified.
Yeah, I mean, my wife keeps asking me, how'd you do? Good. I answered all their questions. You know, I usually tell them something they didn't know because I'm interviewing for IT positions that I have a lot of experience in, and usually I'm interviewing with someone that may not have that experience.
That's typically how it is.
But I keep plugging, keep applying to places, and something will break.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Yeah, unlike you guys, I only need one. You got yours roll over a little more quickly. I just need one to say yes.
Well, I mean, the same thing in a sense can apply with us, because you get that one role that says yes, that the right role. Because don't get me wrong, we want every role we go out for, but you get that right role that says yes, and you're like, my life has just exponentially changed. And it's not even looking at your bank account first. It's just knowing the trajectory of your career, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
the security of it.
Huh?
The security of it, everything that goes with that.
But that's the crazy part though, with especially the entertainment industry. You would think that one major role automatically leans itself to job security, and it doesn't. Because think about it. I'll give you the perfect example. And granted, but this is showing you how you'll have to have a comeback, if you will. Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Brandon Routh, he was Superman.
Right.
And you think, okay, you're Superman. So even if you don't do more Superman films, you still are now going to be a commodity to do other stuff.
Yeah.
And it didn't jump off like that.
No, and that what's bad is that wasn't his fault. I
It
thought
wasn't
he
his fault.
thought he did a great job as Superman, and I was really glad to see him pop up in the Arrow. And I mean, even his role in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that was he was really good as that. You know,
When you rewatch it and you realize how many people are in there, you're like,
they, yeah, they did a cast read, and I think they had everybody but Brie Larson pretty much there.
see,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
they're
Yeah, that's
cracking Captain America jokes and all the other, all these roles that these guys went on to, and
mm-hmm.
there's one or two of them going, "Yeah, I'm still acting too,"
Like, I just ain't as big as the rest, but I'm here.
yeah. But yeah, Anna Kendrick is in that. She's in everything now, and
it's crazy when you look at these. It takes that, like I said, that one moment, and
mm-hmm.
it's just like everything changes.
Yeah. Oh, that's when I got your message tonight about the one-on-ones. I saw that on
Yeah.
Patreon. But
Well, it's just because it's like I love doing them, and then I started realizing when I was scheduling for an hour, I was cool. It was cool,
right.
But then all of a sudden, for the past like several weeks, my email, if it's in my theatrical and commercial agents, my voiceover agent, then it's my manager, and I'm like, okay, that's why whenever I say when I'm on Blurs, and I'm like, I just need one. If I'm doing all these, I just need one to break through. And so it's like and I was like I even said that I was like, if people don't want to do it, I understand. It's just I'm doing so much. Like after this, I have to well, by the time this comes out, by the time I let this out in the Patreon, they'll be able to know what this is. I'm going to spend the first 2 hours watching a 4-hour movie.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? And the thing is, like I was talking to Winston and I was talking about this the other day. He was like, they gonna send it to you after all the shit you talked. I said, why not? I said, I'm one of the ones you should send it to.
Yeah.
Because you need to flip me to like this.
Yeah. They flip you, they're golden.
They're golden. The people who are already behind him, who are already supporting and saying there's, everything, the people who are already stoked, this is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It's the people you got to turn.
Yeah. My wife and I were talking about it today because she kind of heard it, but she doesn't follow it as closely.
Yeah.
So we had to work out a deal that we'll watch 2 hours. She gets to take a nap, and then we'll come back and finish it. When I told her it was 4 hours.
So another one of my buddies in the press, we were going back and forth because we both we knew we were getting it, and they sent the email like I think 2 days ago, where they sent it. Was it 2 days? They sent it Friday, yesterday. They said, "Hey, it's coming out this weekend." So everybody was like, "Cool, please send it tonight at least," because again, you want the reviews to start dropping on Monday. This is what they want to, not Monday at 9 a.m. This is a 4-hour movie. Everybody doesn't want to you would think that because it's still a pandemic, most people wouldn't mind sitting down to watch, but no one wants to willingly sit and watch a 4-hour movie.
Yeah. Well, that's even with the series. I don't like sitting down and powering. I've done it a few times for a few series, but not many. Usually it's 2 episodes, go do something else, or, and it, I know it might be that I'm old and I don't have
I think it
that.
also depends on the person. If you feel like, this is my lazy day, I'm doing nothing, then that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. Like I had day, but like when Daredevil and all the Netflix shows would drop, because remember they were just releasing the whole season. I wasn't sitting down in one day, like even the weekend, because I'm like, I'm gonna be a little busy, so I can possibly knock out 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And then move on. And so I'm gonna do this in sections. And my biggest thing has just been telling everybody, a lot of people like, oh, why you don't? Yeah, I'm like, I don't like dude's fans. His fans have made this insufferable.
That happens in a lot of things, doesn't it? Where the fan base, and I was going to bring up this to you because everybody talks about fan service, and there's always that connotation that old fans would like this, like me. So I get a little But I look at it, that scene in Endgame where they throw all the women up in their, that's fan service just to other fans. You know, you could say Black Panther's fan service.
No, you're right.
To happen, but so it isn't bad. You know, if you do something that people like, it shouldn't be considered bad.
Well, especially when you got something, when you got a property that has a fan base in it. Of course, you're going to do. You're right. You're going to do fan. You're going to absolutely do fan service. But when I think the fan service part becomes a problem when you're tailoring your entire creative process. To saying we just got to make them happy instead of telling a good story, not just telling a good story.
Yeah. Well, that goes into another thing that I always think. Our world seems to want to get everything down to that 1 or 2 sentences, but no, everything needs to be talked out. You know, you got to have conversations and like you said, learn stuff. You know,
like the arguments everybody was having over WandaVision. Like I said, everybody, I was like, yo, like somebody was like, yo, all your theories were wrong. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's my Star Wars theories were wrong. You know,
it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not upset because, again, like I always kept saying, this is the story that Jack Schaefer wanted to tell, that Kevin Feige has approved, because, again, it goes into everything else. And also, I think, and I didn't say it during the review, and I thought about it after, of course, how I think the thing is, because WandaVision became the first to get the first thing to get from Marvel in almost 2 years because of everything, it lent so much pressure on itself unnecessarily.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like, well, the Star Wars movies coming back, you know, Endgame had a lot of pressure on. Well, every Marvel movie seems to have more and more pressure.
Of course, to create $1 billion box office.
Yeah. But yeah, it's WandaVision, I thought was really well written, well done, you know, that was a good story.
And like I said on social media, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, the same themes apply, dealing with grief, because that's what everything is now. Remember, people forget everything we're seeing, minus Black Widow, because Black Widow is almost like a period piece, if you will, because of when it's set. But all of this is now we're dealing with either being gone or losing somebody. It's the grief. That's again. I think I don't know if you saw. I put on Twitter. I said Spider-Man: Far From Home is about grief. Is dealing because of him not being able to deal with his grief. He is now looked at as a murderer when you think about it. Because Peter felt guilty, not wanting to be the next Tony Stark. He gives Edith to Quentin Beck, and now Quentin Beck sets him up for murder.
Yeah. No, and it's what we're saying. They're telling good stories. They're handling the pressure. They're telling good stories. So what is there to complain about? You know, another thing from Blurg. I know you for a long time it's the Oscars so white and all the other, but they've been ignoring science fiction, fantasy. It's not like they picked on Black people in this one and it stands out more, but I've quit when Star Wars lost to Annie Hall. Who the hell's watched Annie Hall?
Trying to slowly do it, and I still can't wrap my mind around it, because I still think it shouldn't have. But The Shape of Water is to tell you they're slowly starting to look at other genres.
Well, and that had the bonus of Guillermo doing it, which gives them. But yeah, they have been from their creation till you know the other, like Chicago beat the first Lord of the Rings. How did that happen? I mean, I can't say.
I can tell you exactly how. Want to know how? Because they didn't want to watch it. I can guarantee you.
And the other thing I thought of was they're like, well, there's 2 more movies. We'll get them. And then when it finally got to Return of the King,
they finally gave it to them.
They said, okay, we can't deny all of this. So here you go. But yeah, that's their, it's not even white people, it's a certain group of people that, it's their type of movie.
Did you hear about the one voter who said he wasn't gonna, who told the director of Promising Young Women he wasn't gonna watch her movie?
Nah,
so it came out. So I forgot the director's name. I forgot her name. She put a copy of an email that she got from one of the Oscar voters who said, I will not be watching your movie because it goes against my values. Because I think it's about a girl getting an abortion or something like that. And they were like, I'm not watching your movie based on it. I don't believe in the subject matter, which automatically eliminates a vote she could have had.
That is fine if you are a public person.
Yep.
If it's your job, I've had to do things for my job that I don't agree with, but it's my job, so I do it.
But also, and again, it's understandable when the whole discussion of there are just so many movies. This is true. Every year, granted, they showed the list of movies that were eligible this year. I mean, it's like over 300-400 movies, which I get it. In the amount of time you have, you're not going to watch all those films. Got it. But all in steel, to make sure you contact a director to tell them the reason I'm not going to watch your movie is because that's asinine.
Yeah, well, and that's another. That brings me to didn't hurt yourself, did you?
No, I got the Johnson & Johnson shot yesterday, and so this has been the only side effect is the pain.
Yeah.
Like that's the only side. Thank God, because everybody been like, I was like those.
Both my parents and my wife have got it, and basically they said it's sore like for 24 hours, and they feel a little run down, and that's been the biggest side effects for them.
Was it the Johnson & Johnson one they got? Or the 2 shots?
No, they both got the 2 shot.
Yeah, see, I got the one. So Johnson & Johnson one is just 1 shot.
1 shot.
And the people are actually like, well, I don't know. It's only like 70%. I'm like, yo, the reason you want this one, if you can get it, this is the one they've tailored to the mutations.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to make sure I do my part anyway.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but that was that. So, yeah.
That's good. I mean, I think Pennsylvania's over 1 million people now that have had at least 1 shot. So
see, that's it. The fact that people are taking advantage of it and doing it, because again, they said you theoretically want everybody to get it, but they said they need to have 230 million vaccinated to be sure that we can prevent another.
Right.
If 230 million are vaccinated, at least they're like the odds you might get a few cases here and there, but you won't have oh my God, shut off.
Yeah. And like I could have got in with my wife when she got it, but I felt a little slimy because she works with children in a daycare. So she was on it, and I guess that she found out after she got the shot that they could have included husbands or relatives in it. And I'm like, I would have felt slimy because
and I agree. I think a lot of people, that was the one thing people were talking about, people line jumping, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the thing is that thought process goes when you're not sure how many it is or how long it's going to be. But then you have what we like to call a competent president can tell you, oh, no, we ordered a whole bunch. You finna make sure this happens.
Oh, yeah. He pretty much paid for everybody's shot in the 1.9 billion. So,
yeah, everybody. That's what it was. They paid for all the shots. It was like, yo, don't worry, you good. And so now it's just like it's a matter of time of just everybody getting it. Well, because again, we know there's some people who like, I'm not getting it. The worst, I don't know if you hear this as much as I have, are people who are like, well, they're gonna try to implant a chip in you. I said, excuse me.
Yeah, I've heard it, but not very much. And
I was like, excuse me, a chip in first of all, in liquid, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, what makes me or any other random person that important to be chipped? But number three, why would I worry about a chip in a vaccine when I'm on this bitch all day, every day?
Yep.
This is the biggest chip.
If they wanted to chip me, I was in the military. I did that walk down that row where you get about 7 in each arm, and then 1 in the butt that it's too big to put in your arm. Yeah, that's a fun day at boot camp. But yeah, and I understand there are reasons for the African American community because of history, but
yes,
that I mean, I understand it, but I also at this point I don't think. I mean,
well, here's the
again,
thing.
this
I'm
comes
a
to
black
that.
dude. I'm a
Yeah,
black dude, and I'll say it for you. I was telling everybody this. If they only had said we're starting out in just black and brown communities, then I could see people still having a reason to be leery. I can completely get it because it's like then it's even though it may not be, it sounds suspicious, right?
Right.
However, they were like, if you fall in this group, just if you're a first responder, if you're in this group, that means all races in this. Like, you think the first wave of people, they gonna make sure they a vaccine to test, and the first group of people you want to test are your firefighters and police officers. So if they go down, like
yeah, no, and I was thinking about your comment the other day where white people can't say what is racist or if something is racist, and I agree, but I also think we need to know what's on that line. What
I think what I meant was not even say what is. I mean more so what isn't, because we're having so many when these are like when you have blatant racist issues, and then you're having people like that's not racist, and like you don't get to dictate that. Yeah. That's when you don't get to dictate because it's like it's blatantly obvious that it's racist. It's like then you don't get to dictate that. But back to the Oscars. This is it's gonna be interesting because again, I think we all know Chadwick Boseman wins it for Best Actor.
Yeah.
That one's a given.
That's the Heath Ledger rule.
That's the Heath Ledger award. But the difference is, and I catch a lot of heat from people when I say this. I tell people all the time, I don't think Heath Ledger would have won that had he not died.
Yeah. And I kind of not because of his performance or anything, because of it being Batman. Yeah.
Because Batman. That's the thing. People like, yo, his performance. I was like, his performance is phenomenal. There's no doubt, but it's in Batman.
Right.
It's in a comic book movie. At that time, comic book movies aren't acknowledged.
Yeah.
He got nominated. Leave it at that. That was the happy part. I tell people all the time, like, had he not died, I forgot whoever else. It was like a bunch of. I think I did it somewhere, but he would not have won.
Nah, I agree. I think Chadwick would win if he was still with us.
Yeah, he would win regardless.
Yeah, but it's still that if someone dies, they're winning.
Well, it depends on the role. Well, I think also it depends on what they leave you on.
Yeah, what they leave you on, their body of work before that. Yep. Were there things that they should like? Did he get nominated for Jackie or 42? Chadwick.
I don't know if he got the Oscar nomination. Let me see.
He should have, but
Chadwick Boseman Academy Award nominations. He was nominated for. Let's see. Let's go to Film Critic Awards. Miscellaneous. Where is the Oscars? He was nominated for a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Film critic. Yeah, Hollywood critics. Critic. Saturn National Board Peer Review. The AACT. No, that's not it. Screen Actors Best British. No, clearly he was never nominated.
Wow. And that Jackie, T'Challa, Thurgood Marshall,
James Brown.
Yeah. And they're usually not that T'Challa's a biopic, but the others are biopics, and that's usually one of the Academy's go-to likes.
Yeah, because he was nominated for of course the Image Award, NAACP Image Awards, the BET Awards. They nominated him for 42, but no one else recognized him for 42.
The critics were and voters were probably scared by Alan Tudyk's character and said we aren't even going to go near that. I was going to ask you about this before, but how do you feel about actors doing something like that? I mean, obviously, I don't think that's what Alan Tudyk talks like.
I mean, the question becomes Leonardo DiCaprio and Django.
Yeah, that's another one.
I mean, you see some actors, there's some actors you see and you're like, oh shit. Because it makes you, again, it's like, I know people that'll go, well, that's got to be them for real. But then again, as an actor, I'm like, that's them playing a role.
Yeah.
And them having to have all the other actors understand that.
Yeah, I can remember seeing Alan Tudyk, I guess, went over and apologized to Chadwick after every take, and he was making sure he was okay. But that's what happened, especially when you're doing a historical biopic.
Yeah,
you really can't sugarcoat.
I don't know if you heard what Jamie Foxx had said. He was telling Leonardo DiCaprio, because they say Leo was like, I do not want to say this word. And they were like, yo, listen, every black person, him, Jamie Foxx, Samuel Jackson, like, listen, first of all, we appreciate it. We get to know how you feel outside of this. Cool. Secondly, this is work, and this is what this time is. And Jamie even said, he told Leo, he was like, Leo, we're not friends.
Yeah.
He said, Leo, this is work.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we're not friends. This is work. So I'm not taking it personal.
Right. Yeah, and I think
like I said, I guess for me, it's like when you look at it in that context, like it's again, Alan Tudyk in 42, because it's like, if that be the case, I would never be able to look at him in all the comedic roles I love him in.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? I wouldn't be able to look at anything else because I'm stuck at that. But I'm like, nah, because I don't. Look, I went from being like, damn, Leonardo DiCaprio played a real good racist to the bear should have won the Oscar for fucking.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, I think most people can understand that these guys are playing a character. This isn't them. I mean, it's just like, I don't think Triple H hits people with sledgehammers. I mean, I know there are people out there that do.
You never
know. Yeah. Maybe if there's a contract dispute or something, but oh yeah, that reminds me of your comment for the Bob Wire death match the other day. Hell no. I don't even like watching that kind of wrestling. I mean, I don't know. You know who the Necro Butcher is, right?
I've had matches with Dylan.
I would flip over when his matches would come on. It sometimes it's like, nope.
My thing was always this in the business, and it granted, I'm planning on hopefully I don't want to have the time to get in, but I want to be able to get back, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't want to have the time to be able to do it. My thing was this: I'm never blading. Let's just call it what it is. If you bust me open, it has to be the hard way.
Yeah,
and then it needs to damn near be a mistake.
Yeah,
because I understand that's a legacy and you get that, but it's like I feel like that shortens your life.
Yeah,
even more.
Yeah, that's I never enjoyed the Crimson Mask matches, or even whether it was bleeding or the heart. I can remember Bob Holly getting cut open on I think it was ECW when it was on Sci-Fi. He was wrestling someone and they botched move with the table, and he hit the corner of the table and it just
started pouring.
Yeah, well, it laced him up the back and it started pouring out. It was one of the, but he kept wrestling, so I figured he was okay or insane.
Like that match, that Kenny Omega Moxley match. Like, first of all, I knew the exploding part. I was like, okay, they're gonna do a lot of movie magic. I said, first of all, but the problem was their cameras weren't positioned right.
Yeah.
Because like the one when you hit the rope to the hard cam, And then you can see when they had the other, so you hit it, and then when you hit it, the explosions happen. It looks like it's on the ropes, but the camera over here shows you it's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
So it's like the mystique of that is gone. The barbed wire thing on the ground, that's cool. Suppose there's landmines under it. The camera shows the 2 pyros right there.
Yeah.
Like, come on. But that's still barbed wire. Fuck that. I've done thumbtacks and I hate I've done thumbtacks.
That makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. But we've talked about Berwyn. I saw a wrestler come off the ring and hit the back of the head on that guardrail that the fans, and blood just pouring. You know how head cuts bleed, and it's like, yeah, that's real. That's a mistake, But I've also seen the staple $20 bill or something on some. Why do that?
Again, a necro butcher shit. Yo, look, we can do the whole, you have the stapler and you push it and it makes the sound. That's fine. But when you tell me, oh, there's actually staples in here, that's an issue.
Yeah. That's the EC. I mean, I like the ECW, but that wrestling that's more like, let's do it dare style. I dare you to flip off this scaffolding, or I dare you to take this.
The New Jack situation where he tried to kill Chili Willy, the mass transit incident, all these different things. That's just New Jack. But then you look at, but again, it's like, you can't, to an extent, you can't fault the guys and the girls back in the original ECW day, because they said, look, this is what this is going to be. This is how we're going to make a mark. And we all know they're legends in the game. Some are still around. Some are just not. Some just like, I don't want anything else to do with this. Right. But it made a mark, and you had to do that. Now you still have, again, you're out there in Pittsburgh, CZW doing a tournament of death every year. You can't do it in the city, so they got to get somebody's farm country to go run the whole show.
We've talked about, I'm more into the classic. Give me ring psychology. Give me the good versus evil. We talked about too, Stone Cold was the only true tweener, and only Stone Cold really could get away with it. Everybody,
only his character allowed it.
Yeah, everybody else seems like a poor knockoff of Stone Cold now.
Because even if The Rock tried to do it, it became more heelish, because he was always the arrogance. He called him, I'm the great one. So anything he did was a level of arrogance, and it was more heelish than ever tweener. But I agree. I still, to this day, I like I said, I just got done watching Sacrifice. I've been watching more and more wrestling. I found myself sitting up watching the product, not watching it with this critical eye of, oh, y'all fucking up. I watch spots to be like, yo, I'm trying to study still and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm still all about looking for psychology to understand a match. I still want to, like you said, tell me a good story. That's the one thing I always fear about going back in the ring, because I see so much now how it's done, where it's like stories don't matter anymore in a sense. It's just get all your shit off. And I'm like, let's tell a story.
Yeah. And the NXT is the one telling stories, I think. That's
Hunter and Sean. That's all. I think that's all Hunter and Sean.
Yeah. Well, but that's, I'd rather watch that than, CZW or some of the other crazier. And then there's sometimes that AEW and WWE look like men's gymnastics more than wrestling. Let me Darby Allin is attempting a 360 with a calf twist and he hit it, give him a 10.
Right, because my thing is the problem has become, for me, this is just me, and I don't know about you, I see all these fancy moves done, and with so many high stakes and high reward, the impact happens, and then for somebody to kick out, and it's like, what was all that for? I always would go back to Leo Rush no selling a powerbomb off a ladder.
Yeah.
like you jumped up after a power bomb off of a ladder. You were in the air. You're a tiny dude. So I get that. I get we want to play the whole adrenaline, whatever, but at the same time, you got to sell that.
Yeah. That's if you're not going to sell a big move, it isn't a big move.
It's not a big move.
But yeah, that's and I still, it's different. I'm getting older. Tomorrow's my birthday. That's kind of why
happy early birthday.
That's why I picked today. Is I figured I'm getting robbed on my birthday. I only get 23 hours.
You sure
I figured
do. It'll be like 35 again.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I tell people I'm 9. 5 + 4, 9. But yeah, no, wrestling. There are fans are going to like what they come up with, and since I started watching in the '70s when kayfabe was real, there's in the '70s there was a movie called what was it? It had Peter Falk in it. All the Marbles. Peter Falk. It was about women's wrestling, and they did it as it was a real sport. It had Mean Joe Green in it.
Wow.
And it had if you can find it, it's entertaining. I'm not saying this is a classic you need to, but it's one of the first wrestling movies I ever saw. I mean, at the time I was wrestling, yay, and anything. So I watched it. I've seen it pop up on Turner Classic Movies. The director is someone really famous, and I can't remember who it is. But it was like his, how they'll group movies by birthday or on someone's birth. They did that, and it was on that one time a few years ago. But yeah, then
Robert Aldrich was the director.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot of other hits on his resume, and that was just one of them. Or maybe it was one of the producers. I'm not Schmodown ready.
You don't. That's why I'm not in the Schmodown. Like I know what I tell people when they came to Schmodown. I know what I know, and I just knew number one. Like movie trivia is fine. I watch a lot of movies. That's cool. Like I said, I know what I know, but I'm not about to do sitting here studying movie trivia. I want to be able. I knew one of the things for the Schmodown for me was when I knew I was like losing it when I couldn't watch a movie to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I'm looking at like I get how I watch Marvel and DC movies. I already know because the comic book fan of me is like, could this lead to something? Could this do this? So I'm looking for Easter eggs. I'm looking for all these things, all this. But when I'm watching a regular movie, I'm like, so what was that ship number that was there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how kids burn out on sports. The parents put them in baseball, wrestling, whatever, and go. That's your only thing. And then they hit college age or so, and like, hey, I can decide I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, I got other things I'd like to do.
It always sucks though, because you find out the kid that you've done that with, the kid is great at the sport or the instrument, and they're just like, I don't do this.
Yeah.
You're like, invested.
Yeah.
That's why I never push my son. Like my son, I push him to do what he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
My son loves playing football because my son loves playing football.
Oh yeah. And there's tons of people like that, but I've seen the parents where they're taking their kid to a wrestling tournament every weekend, and from the time they're 4 or 5 to through high school and that, and you're going to get a ride to Penn State or Iowa or where, one of these big, and then the kid's like, I want to eat cookies. I'm tired of weighing 125.
I want to play with my friends. Like I want to have a regular life.
Mm-hmm.
You forget those things, man. It's the simple things.
Mm-hmm.
It's the simple things. But you watch a lot of these. I watch a lot of these new movies now,
Mm-hmm.
And one of my buddies told me something about movies, and I want to know if you did what's your thoughts on this. He was like, a movie has to have 5 things.
Okay.
He said it has to have heart,
Mm-hmm.
character development, action, drama, and comedy to be solid.
I would say if they hit 4 or 5, it will be a solid movie.
Right.
Because there are some like I really liked the Gary Oldman that he won the playing Churchill.
Yeah, Darkest Hour.
Darkest Hour. I really like that. Not a whole lot of comedy in there, but and then there's other ones like they may not hit. I don't always need character development. Like I guess there's a little in Scott Pilgrim because it's Scott learning,
right?
But really, that isn't the thing of it. It's a fun movie.
I think the thing is too. Now, I when he told me that, I was like, yeah. But I think the thing is, when we hear character development, I think we typically think of something, especially if you watch movies or whatever. We think of like, we're going to see a story of how this character goes through this development, and we don't like. Again, you see character development in Superbad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You see character development in like every character.
Yeah.
Even those small characters, there's a development, but you don't look at it like that at first. You're just like, oh, this is a funny ass character, but you're like, oh, there's development of them. Yeah. Like you see all that. I just, I just was thinking about that because I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I did watch the Black History Month Schmodown. Good job in there. There was
Thank you. I couldn't remember Night of the Living Dead for the life of me. Also,
yeah, I got that because I do well in the Schmodown questions that are the pre-70s movies. Because I've watched all of them as a kid growing up because they were like the 2000s and 2010s to me, you know. But there was one question that they didn't ask, and I want to ask you, what movie starred Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, and Richard Pryor? Came out in 1977, I think.
Ooh, because that's not a 70s movie. I have no idea.
Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. It's about the Negro Baseball League. And if you ever get a chance to see that one, that is no one talks about it, but it is hilarious. It showed how the owners were taking advantage of the players. Mm-hmm. And Billy D. Williams is the lead. He's a pitcher that pulls all these basically free agents out of the Negro leagues to play as a traveling team. And then it's kind of like the owners trying to get them back. And of course it ends with, we'll play you one game for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a masterpiece in that sense, but it's very formulaic, but it is hilarious.
Damn, I'd have never thought of that. I didn't even know that existed, like you said.
Yeah. But Richard Pryor spends the whole movie trying to convince everybody he is a different race so he can get into Major League Baseball. He comes in with Puerto Rican accent, American Indian. It may be offensive, but it's funny. I put it there with Blazing Saddles.
Did I say that on? Did I say it on Blurs or somewhere?
Yeah, you brought it.
I was like, how Blazing Saddles I said, I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I don't know about the sheriff half. Because at first, when you said it on Blurs the other day, I'm like, they never actually say it. The bell always rings.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, no, they do say it later in the movie, I think.
Because it's the tease. It's a tease at first, and then it happens.
Yeah, and it's the white people coming up to apologizing to him after. Sorry about saying that. Here's an apple pie or something.
It's just we were talking about that because again, you look at all these older movies, and now everybody's you revisit old movies, but the fact everybody's revisiting these movies, and you have this now oh, this is offensive. It was offensive back then. We kind of know that, but we joked about it.
Well, and see, that's where I put Blazing Saddles on the board. I'm not going to say you shouldn't be offended by it, but I thought, especially for 1972, they are showing Cleavon Little in the best light possible.
They are making Cleavon Little a star in that movie.
Right. And then I have friends that are LGBTQ. One of them just loves the dance scene at the end.
Yeah.
He says, it's not offensive. It's funny as hell.
That's the thing. Like we consider it offensive. It's not offensive. There are things that are directly offensive, but there are things that are considered offensive. It's like, yo, you ain't heard damn black person. Like if you look, like if somebody really went through the movies of the 90s, the 80s and 90s, I'm surprised somebody hasn't nitpicked Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Because you can, like movies that are classics, people can nitpick them, and it's like, let's not do that, because that's what's starting to happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the Dr. Seuss books. No one was buying those books anyways. No one. I had never even heard of like 5 of the 6.
I didn't even.
It's like, but I also blame the people they wanted to score points by saying, look at us. It's kind of the, you're talking about everybody doing things like that no one's asking for.
Yes.
It's like, no one was buying those books anyways. No one, there
was no need to even announce it.
Yeah. Why announce it? Because you want to get.
Nobody's buying. And then, like I even said on the show, the dumb thing was, so everybody was like, we're going to buy the other books that they still publish.
Yeah. To me, that's that kind of like using it for your advantage.
Which, again, if that be the case, because that could be the case, that could be their marketing team was like, what if?
Yeah.
Because think about it. Every time somebody says boycott something, other side of it, no matter who it is, no matter what side it falls on, when someone says boycott something, the other side automatically funnels money into it.
Yeah.
It never fails.
Yeah, and that's why I get not mad, but it's like I look at it as you are using what someone struggles to benefit you. That's kind of wrong to me. Now you can say, "Oh, people were cheering. Yeah, they did this. They did." No one was buying the books anyways. They weren't making.
What are we cheering? Right? What are we cheering?
And you brought up D&D. I'm old enough to be called a Satanist because I played D&D in the 80s. I started playing D&D in 79.
Yep.
I had people, adults, run up on me in the street saying, because I was carrying my D&D books.
Yeah.
In the 70s, backpacks and the 70s, 80s, backpacks weren't invented yet, so we carried it.
We were carrying everything, yeah.
And I'm talking adults, like dads, and just try to get in my face. And luckily, I was big enough that I was bigger than most of them. And like, excuse me, I'm just going to go on my way, and not much they could do about it. But
I tweeted this morning. I said, the same group that is saying cancel culture is getting ridiculous are the reason that Walmart sells edited CDs and music.
Well, there's a little problem with that because, yes, it is, but Tipper Gore was the head of
she was the head of it. I remember she was the head of it, yeah, but she falls. Tipper Gore's a Democrat because of Al Gore, but if you look at like what we label as a Karen now, it's a Karen mentality.
Yeah. Well, and it's anytime anyone is telling someone else you have to think like this, I have issues.
I do too.
You don't get to tell anyone what to think. Now, how they act, and like you said, white people should realize they can catch an ass whooping if a twisted tea upside the head or whatever, you know how many memes I saw from everybody on that?
on that Twisted Tea when I was like, oh my God.
But you can't say, like, when I'm playing video games, every now and then the Sega clip pops in my head when I die or something stupid happens. And I'm not taking the blame for that. I'm blaming you and Winston because you put it there. But you know what I mean.
I ain't gonna lie to you. So again, doing the show every twice a week is fun, but it's a lot of things in regular life where like the clips play in my head, and I'll just be laughing for no reason.
Yeah.
And like either people will just see me laughing or just hear me laughing, and they're like, "What the hell is he laughing at?" It's just like whatever I'm watching or whatever I'm doing, the clip just to something. Oh yeah. Man.
Petty is another one that pops into my head a good bit.
Oh, Petty, man. I think I said on the show, and we were talking about this before the show too. I was like, we are lucky that they only allow us a certain amount to put in here. StreamYard only lets you put, and I think it's only because of how much we pay. Now, if I upgrade and pay higher, probably I can put more. But I have so much in my phone that I haven't transferred over, because it's like I see so much stuff on Twitter and Facebook, and I grab it real quick because I know me. I'm almost like OCD to an extent where I'll see something and then my brain will go somewhere else. And so then I'll be like, what the fuck was I thinking about? And so when I see it, I grab it. There is so much that I could put in this, that I should put in here, that would work so flawlessly with the stuff we do.
Everything you have, I think, does. I love both Animaniac. The push me down and mace me girl needs to meet the I'd do it again girl.
I want to get arrested, but I want, because I know they've been arresting remember, everybody thought, let's just be honest, we all thought at first, like, we know everybody getting off with this. And then clearly it was like, well, unfortunately, we know there's a new administration coming in. We're gonna have to.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of thought this was how, because I think they're up to over 500 arrests for and they're like, we got thousands more. We're going to get to them. But at the time, they didn't have the manpower to make an arrest. And I understand the optics and everything. In Portland, they came at the people with overwhelming numbers. That was reversed in Washington. But now Washington's finding out, now you're actually more wrong than they are. So we're going to come get all of you.
I think like I said, we all were like, because everybody watched this and were like, when they saw people walking out, we were like, they just got away with trying to take over the government, failed, but are going to get away scot-free. And I think the fact that when they were for sure, I really believe my heart, and I haven't said it to many, when they did the final count, when they did the electoral vote count, and was like, it is official, that is when like all these different departments realized, oh shit, we are really going to have to do this.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those, Winston Churchill once said, America will always, after all other options, America will always do what's right. And we do that with like the pandemic. We screwed it up for so long, and now we're doing what's right. And that's it's kind of what I think makes America a good place to live. Is we'll get there eventually. Unfortunately, I can't explain the suck in between.
But see, I think that's the problem, though. I think the fact that, of course, it's not as you would think it's easy as going from A to B, right? You would think it's easy going A to B. But there seemingly, for some reason, the alphabet gets twisted, and all 24 other letters go in between before we get to B.
Right.
But it's like many instances, we don't have to go there. America does a lot of things, like you said. It's like you don't need all this other stuff we've done just to be where we are. Again, where we are right now with the vaccine.
Right.
We're better than Europe right now, because Italy and Britain, I think, are locking down again.
Yeah.
And they're locking down again. And so we're actually better because the track we're on with the vaccinations, where it's like, okay, we know we'll have the herd immunity sooner than later because of what we're doing. Cool.
Right.
Granted, we wouldn't have had all this unless, we knew there were vaccinations, but we had an incompetent president who was just like, they sit in the garage.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Well, that's
like, why do we have to go through we had to wait till an election to elect somebody else who's the head official, the commander in chief, who finally said, yo, I need all these people to sit there who knows this better than I do. Get this out of here. Get this out here to people.
Well, that's an adult took over. We had a toddler running the country. But have you seen Amend on Netflix? Will Smith? Watch that. It's really good. Amend. It's about the 14th Amendment.
I have not heard of that, so I'm gonna definitely.
Yeah, it's Will Smith. It's the history of the Fourth Amendment or 14th. 14th. But it was supposed to end slavery and define all men as all men are created equal. And all the first 2 or 3 episodes were about after the Civil War and through the 60s. And then the next episode is women's rights, and then LGBTQ. And basically it's America going through their normal. We aren't doing it right. We aren't all right. We're getting closer, and then finally doing it right. But it's.
I'll check. I mean that it's a documentary, right?
Yes. It's a limited series. I think there's 6 episodes.
Okay, but it's documentary style.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I like the way. The reason I ask is the way Netflix does documentary type show deals. I definitely love them. So
yeah, what they do is Will Smith acts as the narrator, and then they have Samuel L. Jackson, the guy, the uncle from Lovecraft Country,
Michael K. Williams.
Yeah, or no, Courtney.
Courtney Vance.
Yeah, he does.
Uncle, yeah, right, Courtney Vance. Sorry,
he does. He does Frederick Davis, reads speeches or.
Okay, I got what you're saying. I got what you. Yeah, I get what you're saying. How they do it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's really good. And people, everybody yells about the first and second, and they make the point. The 14th is what makes you a citizen and defines your rights and everything. If more people looked at that as the most important amendment in the Constitution, we'd be better off.
Well, people would have to actually read first and foremost, and not just read an entire thing and not stop. Because again, when we talk about the first 2, we go to the First Amendment, the first 2 amendments or whatever, and everybody just stops with the freedom of speech. Yeah, but you need to know what the rest of that is.
Yeah.
Or the right to bear arms. Yeah, read the rest of that.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell that in Twitter and all Facebook and all the people don't even know what those 2 mean. And the 14th is really the most important because, like I said, it establishes who and what an American citizen is and their rights as an American citizen. And people don't understand that either. But, history, people don't study or don't take the time. Like Gina Carano, that what she said is offensive, but it's also historically wrong.
Yes.
Which triggers me first because to me, it's just you said something stupid. That's my first reaction. The guy you blocked I forget what it was, but he was talking about the Barbary Coast war. He was completely wrong. It wasn't. The Barbary Coast was America versus the Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey, not Africa. It took place in the Mediterranean, but off the coast of Africa, but it had nothing to do with Africa. And so that's what those things hit me first is, well, about the same time. But my first thought is always, that's wrong. you don't know your history.
People they're selective, and they take bits and pieces. And again, they're now, I understand what we do with Blurs, how we try to be entertaining, informative, and educational at the same time. And we try our best to make sure things we speak on, even though our opinions are opinion based, but if we're going to speak fact on something, we're going to do that. I say that because many people now are using YouTube as if it is fact when they're like, I was talking about how I do this football podcast. What I didn't talk about on air is how one of the guys that works on the podcast with us, he played choir boy in the 5 Heartbeats. Mm-hmm. Super cool dude. Always been a super cool dude. He always said he's one of those people that go into YouTube deep dives, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. We were talking about, because again, this is the first time the 4 of us had collectively been together since the whole pandemic and everything. He was talking about, well, Bill Gates and all this is planned and blah, blah, blah. On YouTube, they got this. I said, oh my God. I made sure, Jim, I literally did not respond because I had to hold it in myself from being like, you're telling me you're trusting random people on YouTube who are labeling themselves whistleblowers. Because they put a collective stuff together. Many people do this. And again, I can make a video right now and say, here's the truth about this, and add random clips, share it in the right places, and next thing you know, the video goes viral.
Yeah. And it's the curse and blessing of the internet. Information is now available to more people quickly, but so is bad information. My thing is, there is good information. Wiki pages, Wikipedia does usually have good information. If you want to look up a topic, I would say you can trust 90%, 85%. Right. They don't, if it's a historical event, they just, here are the facts. It's not, this is what we think about it today, or what.
Or somebody edited it and added in this or that.
Yeah. And even if they do, like someone goes in and edits it to something not correct, someone will come back and fix it. At least I found that with the like history stuff that, but Google will take you to real scientists, real historians, real, if
when I tell you, like, why do we trust scientists? I was like, what? He was like, why do we're told that we should trust scientists? I said, I'm in my head, I'm like, because science is a thing you prove.
Right.
That is the beauty of science. Science is not, it's the facts that have been proven through methods and research.
Right.
The studies are done. They are documented. Oh, well, they can print those studies and blah, blah. I said, that's why they're called peer-reviewed studies, because their peers are not the peers that are sitting like their immediate buddies. They're all in the same leagues and industries together. And so they review each other so they can say, this is actually wrong. This is what this is. Maybe relook at this. And when he kept going, I just was like, I just can't believe, because he's 60 now. So I'm like, you're allowing yourself to be entrenched in a lot of information that because Bill Gates is just doing this for population control. Where I'm like, yo, do y'all understand how this whole Bill Gates thing starts? All it takes is one person to speak out against somebody that somebody loves, i.e., you speak out against the Trump. Once you speak out against Trump, let me tell you what they're really doing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and there's the false equivalencies that are rampant on the internet. You know, my God. People, and I not lit in, but I argued with a friend of mine the other week because he said, "Well, America had concentration camps." No, we didn't. And because it's one of those language thing. They're trying to say that they were equal. I'm not saying that we were right what we did to the Japanese Americans, but they were not concentration camps.
Internment camps and concentration camps are two completely different things.
There were more people that came out of our camps than went in. because of childbirth and all that. But this is a friend that's totally on the left, liberal. But when you do that, you rob you injure both, because now you're trying to make concentration camps maybe not look so bad, or you're trying to make these look, the internment camps look worse. But people do that all the time with history, and I blame Hollywood a little for that because
the way we glamorize it, per se, when we make films and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've seen a lot on YouTube clips and other things. Why didn't they just shoot him in the leg? Or because when your heart's racing 1,000,000 miles an hour, you have to shoot here, because you're going to hit here, here, here. You cannot, people just don't understand how hard it is to put a gun on anyone, and hit, because there's everything running here. I don't want to murder. I don't want to murder. It's not the Dirty Harry bang. Oh, my foot.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think that's, honestly, they feel like, oh, that's what it is. Just I got to kill him. And to know that a thought that's going through people's head is, I do not want to have to do this. Again, it's what we talk about with people who came back from the Vietnam War, how they were like, yo, you know the shit I had to do that I did not want to do. And now how I think we're fully into now telling the stories. Like there were always interpretations, but now we're like, no, this is what happened.
Yeah. And it's that Hollywood, or not Hollywood, but they, in Vietnam, they called them baby killers. Yep. Well, you put a gun in someone's hands, they're a soldier. Doesn't matter what age they are. Now, obviously, a toddler or a kid, but if they're 12, a 12-year-old can handle a gun. Just because we say you got to be 18 to join the military doesn't mean these other countries follow that.
I say it all the time. People forget America's laws and rules are not that of the world's. Our sense of what we think is right and wrong and how we do things, we literally can't. We try. That's one of America's biggest faults. We try to base the entire world off what we do.
Right.
And the problem is the world has cultures and countries that have been away. Again, we talk about how Saudi Arabia is, because we here believe that women should be treated equally, everything like that. But unfortunately, because it is unfortunate, we can't control how that country handles things.
Right. Nah, and it's a lot. There's a lot of that. When I get into a topic, I get into it, and I go to wiki and university sites, where a professor has written a paper.
Yeah.
But it was something that came up. I forget even what I was watching, but it was LGBTQ. There are still like 34 countries. That number, I forget the exact number, but it's illegal. And there's like 7 of them that it's an executable offense.
It's an executable offense. I know about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been to a lot of the world, and what I kind of realized is we're in 2021. Kosovo, where I was, is still in the 1950s. Other places I've been are in the 1800s. You can't assume that everybody thinks like us or act, that, and we can't make them.
That's our biggest issue that we've had as a country since when it came, let's just be honest, is slavery, because you had those who came over who felt that they were civilizing the savages.
Yeah.
And in all actuality, those actions were savage,
right?
Because you were forcing a lifestyle onto people who didn't want it. Right. People say, well, they're the better men in the long run. Yeah, whatever. But
the only thing I would say about that is, we didn't start. We inherited that original sin, just like everybody did from Adam and Eve. So it's not our original sin; it's humanity's original sin.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that was okay at that time and practiced by everybody.
Yeah.
You know, this is another Hollywood trope where the white guys invade the black village to get slaves. Most of them were there ready to be loaded up on the ships in trade for weapons and other.
I mean, we you know, more and more nowadays, you know, because the problem with that is it's the rebuttal argument now.
Yeah,
so
and
when you hear black people say we brought them slaves, you're always quick to hear somebody go, well, black people sold them. People like, yo, we know this. Like, we're not.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't like bringing it up. I mean, but I know it's historically accurate.
It's historically accurate. But it's the same thing as that's why when people get upset, and you know, we'll get ready to wrap this up, but that's like when people get upset. Mel Gibson is an asshole as a human being. I get it. Apocalypto, people are mad. They're like, the depiction of Mayans and all these countries as savages. Yo, it is historically documented that they were doing human sacrifices.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, there's another Hollywood that I saw this on. It was the 10 historical inaccuracies that everybody think. Like the Native Americans weren't hippies, you know, living in communes and loving. They were having wars between each other, and you know, we're humans. We're all guilty. You know, it's and it isn't. And I hate to bring that stuff up because, like you said, people take my historical statement and twist it for their racist argument.
To be like, see what he said here, and it's like, no, what you did was the context of only one part of what you heard, or you didn't know what's set up before in this conversation that had things like, and it's you have that with black people too. I mean, I've had that happen with me. Somebody was trying to say, I was like, no, what you're not gonna do, because I'm one of those people I've always said that I got the time, even if I don't. I'll be like, I got time, but because I'm not gonna allow you to twist and misconstrue what I said to fit your narrative. Right. Like, I'm gonna say directly what I need to say before I potentially get blocked on social media again. You're like, but it really, there has to be a reckoning within itself of conversation. That's why I love South Park.
Yeah,
because for everybody they take jabs at, for every barb they sting, they always make sure they let you know, yo, we can talk. The purpose of doing this is to show, no matter how stupid and ridiculous it seems, or how far it may seem to go one way or another, we can talk about these things.
Yeah. It's I forget who. It's in some movie, but the guy they're casting a vote, and the guy says, and the guy's the final vote, and he's going to break the tie, and it's, do we talk about something? And he's like, I've never heard any topic that isn't worth talking about, or a topic that's too dangerous or too not worth talking about. Hell yes, let's debate it. And that's kind of because you're going to learn. I mean, that's how you learn. And I, sitting in a class listening to a teacher, I didn't do very well. I did okay. I got through. I got my degree out of college, but talking to people and getting more, just pulling in information on my own is how I've learned most everything, and it sticks better.
Yeah, but I think it's all like we both have said, it's how you discern that information, because there's so much mis and disinformation out there. But listen, I am always honored to do this, and I'm so glad you were able to do it. You know, again, this is in the Discord. So for the people in the Discord that are following everything in the Patreon, if they want to talk to you, let them know how.
Big fan 877. I'm looking forward to talking to any of you and all of you.
All righty. Yeah, we're keeping these here for you guys. And so we're going to have more fun, more of them coming up. So take care. Holla at y'all in the next one. Now, bye.